This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we are taking another look at Bavaria Catamaran's division Nautitech and the walnut finished version of their Nautitech 44 Open. Today, we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say. 3. Gaze at an innovation and or an adjustment that might make life aboard just a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5 year old pre-owned comparables. And 5. Give it a day's score and compare the results with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes. So let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east down the North American continent to the Annapolis Sailboat Show and the location of our interview last week with Kurt and Kat on the Balance 526. From here, we hop across the pond to the west coast of France and the home of Nautitech in Rochefort. Finally, we hop south down the coast to the vineyards of this week's wine pairing, Clarendelle Saint-Émilion 2016. Clarendelle is a Bordeaux wine brand created by the Dillon family and is part of the Clarence Dillon Wines Group. It makes 4 wines from the classic Bordeaux varieties, chiefly Merlot for its red wine. The brand was established in 2005 by the Dillon family, who also own other high-profile Bordeaux estates, most notably Chateau Haut-Briand and La Maison Haut-Briand. The red wine of Clarendelle is made from a blend of 82% Merlot, 13% Cabernet Sauvignon, and 5% Cabernet Franc. However, the blend will change depending on the character and quality of the vintage and, of course, the specific wine. The grapes are from vines planted in various Bordeaux regions, including Saint-Émilion, Haut-Médoc, and Pessac-Léognan appellations. A portion of the fruit comes from the Chateau Haut-Briand, Chateau Les Maisons Haut-Briand, and Chateau Quintus. Starting with the 2014 vintage, Clarendelle added a right bank wine, Clarendelle Saint-Émilion, which is produced using a high percentage of Merlot. It is interesting to note that all these new offerings have a special label that shows their connection to the first growth they are related to, as the label reads, inspired by Haut-Briand. Oh, you're going to like that. Cheers, let's have a look at that boat. Having a look at the 44 Open, I mean, she's got a great profile, especially for a 44-foot yacht. Of course, it's due to that sleek roof line and the lack of any upright helm position in anywhere there, because the helm positions are at the aft outboard of each hull in a really wonderful location. Now, I know there's an ongoing argument over the benefit or lack thereof of these exposed helm positions on the aft outer hulls, but I must say that, you know, given what everybody tells me, and that is that you're on autopilot 95 to 97% of the time, you're only sailing 10% of the time, my thought is, why not make that small leftover percentage really, really fun? And that's exactly what these fabulous helm positions do. Now, they do have a very nice presence of a bimini over top them, a soft bimini. It doesn't negate the fact you are exposed, but that's the whole point. You have perfect vision of the sails. You have a perfect sight line down the side of the hull. You can run back and forth easily to each helm position for docking. I mean, it really does have some significant benefits. And again, I really question why the fixation among the catamaran world on this must have an absolutely enclosed helm position when the entire history of sailing has been on monohulls with fully exposed positions, including up to today on the premium brands such as Oyster. Having a look at our new comparables now, we're looking at the Nautitech 44, the Elba 45, the Leopard 45, and the Seawind 1370. You can see here all of them have a pretty nice silhouette here, the nicest being the Seawind 1370 and the Nautitech 44, and of those I would say the Nautitech 44. The Leopard 45 and the Elba 45 showing their additional space by, you know, a little more stubby look to the overall vessel. But when you look at now the sail area, we can see that the Elba 45 is well in front at 124 square meters, followed by the Leopard at 120. The Seawind 1370 at a respectable 116, given its displacement, and then the Nautitech at 106. Hopping now onto the cabin top here, you can see, of course, the two more performance-oriented at either end there, the Nautitech 44 and Seawind 1370, have nothing on the rooftop there other than solar. And then the nice thing is the Seawind does a really nice job of a full front cockpit with removable cushions. You've probably seen them on Sailing Ruby Rose 2, and they really do look very comfortable. Nautitech 44, something similar, not quite as well executed. The Elba 45 and Leopard 45, of course, have a beautiful upper sky lounge there, and the Elba has a full front cockpit. The Leopard, of course, having that wonderful, wonderful full front cockpit with the front door access and the whole thing covered by the roofline. Looking at pricing here, you can see that the Nautitech 44 is by far the most economical of the bunch at 539,000 euro, followed by the Elba at 686, then the Leopard at 708, and finally the Seawind at 717. As we head down into the saloon, we can see now the significant space that you have in the Elba 45 and the Leopard 45. You know, they just have a lot more space, and they're very nicely laid out. Style-wise, you know, the Elba does look very nice. My challenge with all of the FPs is they feel a tad unfinished with exposed fiberglass on the roof of both the cockpit and the saloon. The materials are pretty good, but they feel, you know, a little RV-ish. Leopard 45, fully finished bimini roof, bimini ceiling, and saloon ceiling, a lot of indirect lighting. You know, the veneers they use feel a little industrial, shall we say. But, you know, it's hard to beat the actual living space and practicality of the Leopard. Looking to the Nautitech, it has a very unusual setup here with that center stand-up bar area. And I have been told that turns out to be a gathering spot for everybody on the boat, but it does seem a tad odd and uses a fair amount of space. But the finish on the inside of the Nautitech 44, especially with the walnut veneers, are just spectacular. It really feels well above any of the others in its class. The Seawind 1370 have not been aboard. Looks very nice. I was just on the 1190 and the 1170. A little too much plastic for my taste, but and the woods are a light wood. You know, I prefer a little darker wood. But the space is decent. It's well laid out. You have a nice U-shaped galley there. So overall, it looks like a very practical layout. Hopping now down into the cabins themselves, you can see the benefit of the girth of the Leopard and Elba hulls. Of course, you pay for that in performance. But on both of them, you've got some pretty decent access around your aft, fore-aft master berth. Not as good on the Leopard 45 as on the 50. You do have a little cutout. You're probably going to be crawling up there a little bit to make that bed. Elbow 45, they do a darn good job on giving you enough space to get up that bed. And the showers and the master bath, they really do feel spacious and quite luxurious. The Nautitech, again, the sense of space and comfort, and you can get this in a multiplicity of cabin layouts from 3, 4, 2 with a utility room. We'll look at all of them here, but you'll see in the video here the luxury sense really does feel excellent. Seawind 1370, just love the athwartship berth that they managed to put on this. I saw it again to a smaller degree on the smaller boats, but it felt pretty good. I'm hoping that they've done something with a little less exposed fared fiberglass in there to make it feel a little less plastic, but you've got good space in that master hull, and of course they've again got a 2-bedroom, actually Seawind's done a spectacular job on this one. You've got a full 3-bedroom with a utility space in the forepeak on the starboard hull. So, hats off to them. They've sort of given you your cake and eat it too. Okay, hopping into the numbers. Let's have a quick look across the top line. We already talked about that with the Nautitech in the lead there. Looking at length overall, of course, it's the Leopard 45 at 45 foot even. The length at the waterline is the Seawind, and then the beam is the Elba 45 at 24.8 feet. Draft, again, is the Fpuntaine Pajot at a remarkable 3.9 feet. And then looking at light ship displacement, you've got the Nautitech well in the lead here at 10.9 metric tons. Next closest is the Seawind at 12.3, and then you've got the Fpuntaine at 14 and the Leopard not far behind at 14.9. Looking at the upwind sail area, we already mentioned that you've got the Fpuntaine Pajot at 124 square meters, well in the lead. And then in the actual power plant, it's the Nautitech and the Elba at 50 horsepower each, so 100 horsepower each. Tankage, you've got the Leopard 45 at 700 water, 700 fuel, 780 liters of water. And then I'm starting to try and see if I can find the waste tank capacity here. I found it for Leopard and Seawind. Seawind in the lead at 238 liters. Moving to the more technical information, looking at hull material here. It's the Seawind that takes, as far as the materials go, it's E-glass with carbon fiber reinforcement, vacuum bag, closed cell form cores with a pure vinyl ester resin. It's really quite a ways ahead of any of the others, which are rather traditional. Looking at the maximum solar, I've added that in here. I'm trying to get the maximum battery capacity for you as well. It is the Seawind in the lead at 2,000 watts. That's from the factory, and it's flexible. The next one is the Nautitech at 1760, not half bad, again flexible. Looking at performance indicators, starting with sail area to displacement, an indicator of power, it's the Seawind well in front at 30. The next one is the Fpuntaine Pajot at 23, the Nautitech at 22, and the Leopard at 20. Displacement to hull length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness. Here again, it's lowest score wins, and it's the Seawind well in front at 119. The next closest being the Nautitech at 135, followed by the Fpuntaine Pajot at 152 and the Leopard at 186. Heading to the comfort ratio, it's going to be the Leopard that's probably the most comfortable. It's a rating of 17. And hull speed, it's the Seawind at 9. Looking at the KSP, or the indicator of theoretical speed at 10 knots of wind, it is the Seawind achieving 80% of wind speed, well ahead of the next closest, which is Nautitech at 71%, followed closely by Pajot at 69%, and finally the Leopard at 65% of wind speed. Okay, hopping on board. What would Sylvia say? Well, other than the size, I think Sylvia would rather like this vessel. I really do like these aft outboard helms. They have that nice little bimini. It could be bigger. This was a rainy day, so I got to test them out. Fabulously comfortable helm seats. All of your controls right there. Really nice laid out dash. You look at your sight lines right down the hull, right up at the sails there. You can see both aft hulls there very easily, and you can see well through the cabin to the forward port hull as well. Failing that, hop up on the seat and stand up there and have a look down. Heading down the weather decks, you've got good handholds in that gutter you can see to the left there. You've got the flush deck hatches, really nice princess seats done in teak. Again, look at these lovely forward faux lounges, really nicely executed. You've got the teak cup holder in the middle, giving it a bit of elegance. You've got a beautiful teak steps up onto the cabin top, which really, really look nice. Again, everything about the Nautitech feels, as far as finish goes, much more yachtish than anything else in its class. It does not feel RV-ish in any way, shape, or form. Coming down again into this helm position, I really, really like these. I would, of course, mimic the throttles over on this side as well. In case I was docking on this side. Of course, we know I'm going to have a dockmate on it anyways, so I could be anywhere. The cockpit, very comfortable. The finishing's nice. You see the rounded corner, a little style there. The ceiling of the bimini, nicely finished. You've got a nice aft settee here. The color of the davits look really nice. They're offset in a beautiful glossy black. I mean, look at the touches of style and detail with that black line that goes straight into the saloon and onto the center post there, the compression post. Beautiful teak tables split there so that you can put them down and share. You've got some really nice refrigeration here. And then look at the rounded corners on this lovely, full walnut-ish wood veneer. Really looks good. You've got the, again, that touch of that lovely black stripe going right down the center. The cupboards all look excellent. The hardware all looks sturdy and high class. Table, look at the detail in the stitching on the seats there, the rounded corners on the table. It really looks classy. The little leather highlight on the pull-out stool for your nav station there. A very nicely laid out nav station with highlights you can see to the right there of leather and stainless steel. Okay, I've got something fun for you here on navel gazing today. Despite advanced navigation equipment, it is currently not possible for a ship's crew to know in real time whether, by how much, and how fast the anchor is dragging. Anchor Guardian predicts the anchor hold with early warning and provides intelligent data to support the crew while laying the anchor, while anchored, and while lifting the anchor. For the first time, using sensor fusion and sophisticated algorithms, the technology can build a stable data set of the anchor's relative and absolute position, providing reliable information over the entire anchoring procedure. The patented technology operates independently of GPS and any movement of the ship. There are four primary components: the anchor module, which is the heart of the innovation, and is drives the proprietary algorithm and sensor fusion technology independent of any GPS signal. And that anchor module goes between the anchor itself and the chain and has a host of sensors built into it. A boat module, which is a sophisticated transducer integrated into the ship's hull that exchanges underwater data sets to the user interface and transports user requests back to the anchor module. So how do the anchor module, sitting between the anchor and the chain, and the boat module integrated into the ship's hull, communicate with one another underwater? Well, both modules have sophisticated transducers integrated into their housing, which communicate underwater via ultrasound with each other. The third component is the charging module, wireless and automatic charging when the anchor is stowed. And the fourth element is the user interface module. The boat module communicates with a standalone display or with the existing GPS plotter or with the existing ECDIS through a NEMA 2000 interface. So when you're laying the anchor, the depth, scope, and orientation from the moment the anchor hits the... So let's look at laying the anchor. You get depth, scope, and orientation. From the moment the anchor hits the water, Anchor Guardian begins sending in real-time information to the captain and crew. At any given moment, the anchor module sends updates regarding the distance to the boat, distance to the seafloor, and the type of sediment below. Once on the ground, the orientation of the anchor and the scope are shown on the display. So when you're at anchor, wondering about force, velocity, and anchor hold prediction, the module activities include prediction of anchor hold, force on anchor, and anchor chain angle, including length of chain cast out. Should movement take place, immediate alarms sound providing anchor displacement and anchor velocity data. Anchor position is continuously visible on the GPS plotter, ECDIS, or a tablet, which can be provided as an option of the Anchor Guardian system. Now, when you're lifting the anchor, your concern is location, freedom to maneuver, and storing completion. So information including anchor location, when the anchor leaves the sediment, and when the boat is free to maneuver are provided. Completing the anchoring process, data is given as to when the anchor is in sight, out of the water, and finally stowed. Now, I can only imagine what a boon this would be to most of us out there, because anchor drag is probably the single biggest fear in anybody's mind. Can you imagine knowing the sediment you're on and knowing with a prediction of how well your anchor is going to hold? Absolutely outstanding technology. Okay, back on board, touching this lovely faux leather up there. It looks so nice. Now here's a touch. Look at that beautiful gold insignia right there. There's that stand-up sort of communal area there, and we're looking at the galley, which is very nice. Double sinks, lots of space, everything finished beautifully. Your 3 refrigerators, freezers, and again, all your rounded corners, just beautifully executed. Let's head down into the guest hull now. Again, look at how sturdy that handhold is with the integrated leather. Going forward into the forward starboard berth, you know, it is a typical forward starboard berth, but beautifully finished, lots of ventilation. Heading aft now, we've got, again, beautiful finishes on the walls. We've got 2 lovely heads here. You can see all of the finished paneling in here. It's soft touch. It really feels elegant. And it's a dedicated head there. Heading further back now, we're going to look at the shower stall here. A dedicated shower stall. I think this is a great way to do it. You've got your basin there and a nice dry shower. You really don't need the head and the shower in a single compartment to duplicate it. I think it's a great way to do it. Now we're into the aft berth. Yeah, it's a little tight. You got a wee bit of space, but I'm going to be crawling up there to make that bed. It's not much different than an Outremer. So there's little access, but not very much. I will be disturbing Sylvia as I come out of there. Back up into the saloon here, and heading across to the master cabin. Heading down into the master hull, out of the corner of your eye, you can see the washer dryer in the forward utility room in this particular layout. As we head forward, you can see the master berth there, nothing much different. Let's scoot forward and look at this fabulous utility room. I mean, this is one of the best I've seen. You've got washer dryer, you've got a workbench, you've got access into the forepeak. I mean, what more could you want here? It really is an outstanding layout here. Just look around there. You've got your vacuum cleaner hanging up there. Everything looks so good. We're going to head up here and have a quick look at that aft berth there. Look at the beautiful veneers you've got here. It really creates a warm feeling. Nothing much different from the other side here in this particular layout. It's very much similar to an Outremer or an HH as far as wall-to-wall bed, and you know how I feel about those. Sylvia said I can have one if I make the bed, but I really do wish more people would take a lesson out of Seawind and Balance's playbook. Quick look into the shower room. Again, exactly the same as on the other side, split shower and head. Really looks good. Now we're going to have a quick look at the full master hull layout here. You can see that lovely little settee. Look at the size of your bathroom in this layout. It is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, that's the boat. Let's have a look at pre-owned comparables. First up, we're looking at a Leopard 45. Bear in mind our comparative sail away is base plus 50%. So in this case, it's $854,000 for the sail away Nautitech. And we're comparing that to $849,000 for a 2-year-old Leopard 45. Now, I guess the bottom line for me here is the Leopard 45 just does a lot more for me. I have that front cockpit, I have the upper lounge, I have, a boat that delivers on its own bottom from South Africa. Not as elegant in its finishes, but this is a 2-year-old boat. All the pain of a new boat shakedown is done, and there's probably toys on board. So in reality, I would go with the Leopard 45. Next up, we're looking at a Fountain Pajot Elba 45. Again, this is a 2-year-old boat. They're looking $885,000. Now, this is a very nice boat. Is it that much nicer? You know what? I'd probably still do the Elba. I do like the mid-helm. Sylvia's going to feel quite comfortable there. Again, I love the fly lounge. They have the faux front cockpit. And it's a nice layout. Again, the finish isn't what the Nautitech is, but the performance isn't bad. Next up, we're looking at a 2021 Nautitech 46 Open, $850,000. It's more boat, it's similar finish, and I'd go with this one. Ooh, our Nautitech 44 Open isn't doing so well right now. Next up is a Bally 4.4, 44-foot Bally, 2022, so 1 year old. They're looking for $782,000. Again, I don't know. I hate to say the Bally because I really feel that their interior is very RV-ish, but again, I've got all those other goodies, including forward cockpit access. I would do the Bally 44. And finally, the Lagoon 450 Sport. We're looking at a 2-year-old boat here at $700,000. Yeah, I'd probably go the Nautitech on this one. It just performs better, and it'll get me where I want to go better, and the finish is really nice. So wow, we had 4 out of 5 went the other way there. Okay, monohull heresy. What are we looking at here? We're looking at sort of 50 to 55 foot monohulls to be equivalent of the space on the 44 foot Catamaran. First up, we're looking at a 4-year-old Passport. This is an utterly gorgeous yacht. I was on one just last week. The joinery, the finish, oh my goodness. And they're looking 845 grand. Sorry, Nautitech. I'm going the Passport all day long. Next up is a Jeanneau 54. We're looking at a 4-year-old boat. They're looking 560. If I had the money, I'd do the Nautitech on this one. Next up is a 22 Beneteau Oceanus Yacht 54. They're looking at $1 million. I'd go the Nautitech on this one. Next up is a 4-year-old Beneteau Sense 51. They're looking for $444,000. The Beneteau actually of this era isn't bad as far as fit and finish inside. It's got the hard top, all that good stuff. I'd probably save my money. It's like 400 grand and go the Beneteau. And finally, the Garcia Exploration 52. Now this is a real explorer's yacht. $1.5 million, let's say, versus the 854 we're looking. But wow, you are getting a yacht that will go anywhere, and it's only, what, 3 years old? If I had the cash, I'd go the Garcia. Wow, that's unfortunate. The Nautitech isn't doing too well here. Okay, let's have a look at the Dave score. How did she do? Well, you can see the list goes down, down, down. Oh, there she is. She did okay, you know, for a 44. Again, it's not the size that I'd be looking for. But as far as elegance in the interior, you got an 8. It's hard to argue that. The exterior is a 7. Comfort on the interior is a 5. I'm really not a fan of that saloon layout, and the beds really are hard to get into. Exterior is a 6. Quality is an 8. She felt like a very well-built boat. Performance is a 7. She does okay. Lazy Sailor, a 7. Everything comes back to those helms, and they got great visibility. Condo is a 6. She's just not big enough to be considered that way. Geek is a 6. There's nothing really innovative on here. And value for money, I'd put it as 7, as you can see the way compared to everything else. So there is our yacht for this week. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. Leave me some comments. For our art of the region this week, we're looking at Claude-Joseph Vernet, the port of Rochefort. Vernet was born in Avignon, and when only 14 years of age, he aided his father, Antoine Vernet, a skilled decorative painter, in the most important parts of his work. The panels of sedan chairs, however, could not satisfy his ambition. In 1734, Vernet left for Rome to study landscape designers and maritime painters like Claude Gelée, Claude Lorraine, where we find the styles and subjects of Vernet's paintings. Slowly, Vernet attracted notice in the artistic milieu of Rome. With a certain conventionality in design proper to his day, he allied the results of constant and honest observation of natural effects of atmosphere, which he rendered with unusual pictorial art. Perhaps no painter of landscapes or sea pieces has ever made the human figure so completely a part of the scene depicted, or so important a factor in his design. Well, that's our episode for this week. I do hope you've enjoyed the waves, wine, art, and ideas. I think that anchor technology is really worth looking at. And as far as the Nautitech products, man, I love their finishes. I love what they're doing. I love some of their shapes. The livability is a little in question for me right now. I'm anxious to see the 48 when it comes out. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.